GLC is now offering a free audio stream of our 24/7 broadcast that we're calling GLC Radio, an online radio station that broadcasts our round-the-clock audio stream on a variety of platforms. GLC Radio gives you the ability to listen to GLC virtually anywhere, through your home or office computer, or on the go with a mobile device. You can access GLC Radio through our website or by searching for God's Learning Channel through iTunes Internet Radio, TuneInRadio.com, or on Shoutcast.com. Explore various GLC Radio-enabled mobile apps by visiting our website at glc.us.com/listen/GLC Radio. GLC Radio, your free connection to GLC anywhere, anytime.
Well, welcome to GLC's update program, where you get news, according to people I run into everywhere, that they don't see anywhere else.
That's good news.
That is. Yeah. Okay, what do we got to start out with, ladies? What are we doing tonight on?
Oh my goodness, tonight.
That's what I want to know.
Tonight on Light of the Southwest. You don't want to miss it. It's this gal, Judy Reamer. And yes, she's been here a couple of times. But I never got to sit and visit with her on set. So we just had a really tremendous program. I'm going to tell you, we can record Light of the Southwest as either a 1-hour segment, and lots of times we'll do 2 1-hour segments, as you know, so they can air with different programs. Every once in a while we'll do a 2-hour segment. When Judy and I started that program, it was going to be 2 1-hour segments, totally different, whatever. Well, I'd say we got to talking. No, she got to talking.
Got on a roll.
And she got on a roll talking about her testimony, and it was just phenomenal. So what happened is we actually had to turn it into a 2-hour program. We had to stop, adjust the timing, and go on, because there was no closing that program.
Cool.
And it was an amazing, amazing time with her. FYI, Judy was here last week because she has recorded a program series for us.
When will that begin airing?
Probably in January.
Oh, really?
Because, it's a little late for me to be throwing things in right now. But probably in January.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, it's going to be a great program. She's got 3 books out, all of which are available in the GLC bookstore. And every single one of them, I picked them up and couldn't put them down until I was done. And one of them is like this thick. Wonder is her testimony. The reason that I invited her to come do a series was because I read her book, Feelings Women Rarely Share. She hadn't taught on that in 25 or 30 years.
Wow.
But I'm telling you, it is a message that everybody needs to hear. So
Men and women?
Men and women. And, you know, in many ways, it's actually more important that the men see this program than the women do. It'll help the women deal with things, but it will help men understand what women never tell you is going on with them, and how the enemy gets in and attacks them. And I'll just tell you, I was telling Mason, who works for us, and he's the guy who does all of our web stuff and everything else, and you've met him here on GLC a couple of times. Always make him be on during Roundup.
Right.
But I had told him about that program, and he says, wow, Amy, he says, you know what? Men really need to see that. He says, because more than ever, men have to realize that they have to protect their wives in ways that they never realized that they need protection.
And it's getting more important every day.
Yes, as the world gets more rotten and rotten and rotten. And what Mason was talking about is men preying on women. They don't care anymore if they're single or married or anything else. So that program, when it launches, everybody's going to want to watch it. But you do want to tune in to Light of the Southwest tonight, because you will love that program. So do you have a letter?
Yes, I do. But I have a 110 I today, and my 83-year-old body wouldn't read it for me.
Your eyes are 110 today?
Yeah.
That's what you're telling me?
Yep.
So they're going on sabbatical?
Yeah, one of them did.
All right, sure. I'll read it for you. GLC, you're doing a tremendous work. Be encouraged. Let us hold fast to the profession of our faith without wavering, for he who promised is faithful. Another version says, let us then, without ever wavering, keep holding firmly to the hope we have, because God can be fully trusted to keep his promise.
Amen.
I enjoyed Joelle Baeza and Olga Flores. There are others out there. I went, like Olga, I went to work on a kibbutz as a volunteer in 1987. Kibbutz near David. Experience of a lifetime. Shalom, Irene from Lorraine, Texas.
Hallelujah.
She went to work on a kibbutz. I'm going
She
to
did.
tell you something. The first time I ever went to Israel, like many people, all I want to do is move there, you know, and for 6 months, that's all I could think about. But I could have done it had I have gone to work on a kibbutz. On a kibbutz, they need all kinds of workers all
do.
the time. Now, it's a communal thing, so you make no money at all.
Right.
You know,
Right.
they feed you and clothe you and give you a roof over your head, but you get to be in Israel.
That's right.
You know, that was 5 years before we made our first trip to Israel. 88.
When I went?
When she
No,
went.
when
Oh,
she
when
went.
she went.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, instead of a devotional today, I borrowed a tribute to our veterans, reservists, and those in active service in honor of Veterans Day. And I borrowed this from Bridget Gabrielle, and because she said exactly what I would love to be saying. Words tremble on my lips and emotions swell in my heart in my attempt to humbly thank you for all the things you do to protect America and the world. Words cannot express my depth of gratitude for your service, for your sacrifice, and for all that you leave behind to go forth into the world and protect America's interest around the globe. Let my grateful words thank you for the nights you slept freezing in a tent or sweating in the desert, for the lonely days you spent missing your loved ones, for the hours you spent sick, in pain, and without anyone to hold your hand, for the moments of sheer fright in the heat of battle, for the wounds you have suffered fighting evil, for the endless days in hospitals undergoing painful surgeries, for the precious occasions you've missed back home. For all these sacrifices, I thank you on behalf of millions of Americans who are so grateful for you. We truly appreciate these sacrifices. A special thank you is in order for your families, to the parents who raised you and made you the man or woman you are today. I thank your wives, your husbands, your loved ones who stand by you and support you with their love and dedication. You who have served and are serving are our brave ones, our heroes, and our national treasures. You are the pride of our nation, our strength, and our foundation. Thanks to you, millions have been freed around the world. Thanks to you, those who criticize our country, burn our precious flag, and speak ill of you are able to do so because their freedom is built upon your blood and your sacrifice. I salute you one and all. I bow before you in respect and humility. May God bless you and bless America. And Gabrielle adds, the land of the free, the home of the brave, and the dream that became my address. Always devoted, Bridget Gabrielle, President of ACT for America.
She's actually from Lebanon.
She is. She's a Lebanese.
You know,
Makes me
Made America her home.
It makes me think I forgot to take the IHOP thing that offered me a free breakfast today.
That's right.
oh,
Oh, I got something I want to share with you. That brings it up. If you could put up my slate, please. We have 5 transmitters that are off the air, and we need $16,350 in equipment to get them back on the air.
Why are they off of the air?
because SES got turned off.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And let me go one more step. This isn't just a thing of saying, we're off the air. The FCC says, hey, Turkey, your name's on these licenses. You better tell us why, or we're going to take you off the air permanently. So if you want to help us out, get the money to us ASAP.
That's right, because they don't dilly-dally about things
No.
like that. So anyway, what that is, though, is it's part of the transition process.
Yep.
Step 1 at all 5 locations has been done, but it's step 2 that has to be completed now, and that's that $16,000. So,
And when you get that to us, there's more to it than that, because we will end up being able to even expand GLC because of this.
okay, well, now here's something that everybody needs to understand about this. If these transmitters don't get up and running again, everything goes off.
Everything.
Everything. There's no nothing without these transmitters.
That's right.
So this is some critical stuff.
There is no GLC. Gone and lost forever.
We've had several people, tell us when we're out and about that, hey, you're not on our channel anymore. What happened? Well, we knew you were talking about the satellite going off the air, but we didn't think it would affect us.
Yeah.
Well, it
Well,
does.
here's the thing. My response to that is this. God set GLC up in such a way that it is the people's responsibility, very much like our Constitution. It's our responsibility
To be guardians of it.
to guard it. Well, GLC being the responsibility of the viewers means that it doesn't matter what part of GLC is affected, because it's all one thing. It's
Right.
all one thing. And you can never look at something like, well,
Well, look at a body.
okay, well, let's look at that. But let's look at what Yeshua himself said was the most important of the commandments. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself. So when you're looking at something and you're going, that doesn't affect me, are you really loving your neighbor as yourself? No, you're not. And you can actually tie that to a lot of different things. Had the Christians been loving their neighbors as themselves in Nazi Germany, the Holocaust wouldn't have started. So we can always find excuses not to do something, but I'll just make it plain and simple. GLC is one big thing, it's one big family, and we're all responsible for it. So it doesn't matter what part it is, and I'm actually happy to hear that people you're running into are saying, well, now I'm off and I didn't realize it was going to affect me. I've had friends telling me that they've been talking to people who watch us all the time, but don't feel any unction at all to support us. They'll learn from us. They're really glad, or maybe they never think about the time that every one of the teachers has to expend getting their lessons together, and then taking the time to travel here, and the time it takes to film things, and the tremendous cost involved.
That's right.
Well, there's another point, too. The people who can't watch us now, they're missing the chances. We're missing the opportunity to reach them with the gospel.
Oh, hey, newsflash. People who can't watch us right now because their cable system hasn't been converted, or because they have been receiving GLC off the air, those people can't receive us right now because the transmitter is down.
Yep.
So we've lost part of our audience to help bring in this money.
And it brings
That's
up
the bottom
another
line.
point. If I ever told you before, have you written and told your supplier, whoever you watch cable or whatever, how much you enjoy and thank them for it?
It makes a difference.
How much they enjoy GLC.
Yeah.
It does make a difference.
It
yeah.
does make a difference, because there's one big cable company doing everything they can to support GLC.
Good.
There-
And another thing, you think, well, I don't have enough to make any difference. You know, it's all those raindrops coming a little bit at a time that makes the flood. And it's the same way with your gifts. They don't have to be huge. We'd love some huge ones that would get us out of debt. But the little ones all count, and we're so grateful for all of them. So don't think your gift is too small, okay? We love you and appreciate everything
You might
allow God to do through you.
You may be a raindropper, but you have some people, friends of yours, who could just, 16,000? You sure you don't want to make it 32? Call them. Okay, where are we going from here with the news?
That's where we're going with the news.
Yeah,
So, yeah, once again, thanks, veterans, for your service.
absolutely.
You're welcome.
We do appreciate you.
Do you know what? If it hadn't been for me going in the military, my part of GLC would never have existed.
That's right. That's where Dad got his training.
Wouldn't even be here.
So yeah, that money, that $16,000 needs to get in as soon as possible. As in yesterday or a week ago. That'd have been nice. Okay, here from the ICEJ news team, Sheikh Hassan Nasrallah, leader of the Lebanese Shiite terror militia Hezbollah, gave a speech Friday applauding the recent spike in Palestinian terrorist attacks against Israelis and condemning the governments of the Arab countries for failing to do the same. What is going on now in Palestine reflects a lofty and sublime jihad spirit, Nasrallah declared, adding, despite the fact the Greater Israel scheme has been frustrated, the Zionist entity is still powerful and threatens all the region's peoples. In related news, the U.S. Treasury slapped sanctions on 3 commercial companies last week, 1 based in Lebanon, 2 based in China, on suspicion that they were involved in procuring military equipment and electronics for Hezbollah.
Vatek SARL, a Lebanon-based company, Lahua Electric Field Company, based in China, and Aero Sky One Company Limited, and Labico SAL Offshore, also based in China, were named in the sanctions announcement, which added that the items smuggled to Hezbollah from these companies allowed it to assemble military-quality unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, and improvised explosive devices, IEDs.
Meanwhile, security forces loyal to Lebanon's secular government arrested 3 people on Sunday, accusing them of spying for Israel and related charges. The government said the 3 had admitted to taking photos and videos of sensitive sites, adding several Israeli spy networks have been uncovered in the country's south.
Finally, in neighboring Syria, reports emerged that the U.S.-led campaign of airstrikes against the Islamic State terror militia has intensified in recent days after a period of decline through late October. We're not focused on the number of strikes, we're focused on the effect of our strikes, Army Colonel Stephen Warren, a U.S. military spokesman in Baghdad, said in an email.
And then from J&I Media, under the terms of Jonathan Pollard's release due this November 20th, he must remain in U.S. territory for 5 years under supervision, which would preclude any plans of making Aliyah. He already received his Israeli citizenship some 20 years ago. According to the Washington Post, Pollard's supporters have asked Prime Minister Netanyahu to ask President Barack Obama at their Monday meeting, which was reportedly better than expected and lasted 45 minutes longer than scheduled, to use his executive power to waive the parole condition and allow the released spy to go to his new home.
Last week, Obama's Deputy National Security Advisor, Ben Rhodes, told reporters he wouldn't be surprised if Netanyahu raised the Pollard issue with Obama, but Netanyahu would not confirm or deny when reporters asked him about the meeting about Pollard.
Pollard's attorney said last week that his client was going to live in New York, where he had a job and a home waiting for him. But if he could, he would have preferred to join his wife, Esther, in Israel. He wants to make a contribution. He has lots of significant ideas, the attorney said.
But judging by Netanyahu's silence, the official White House line, and the absence of leaks to the contrary from the White House, It appears President Obama will not intervene to let Jonathan Pollard skip his parole period and go home. Pollard is 61, which means that after serving out his 5 years, he could start collecting Israeli Social Security. He did contribute quite a bit to Israeli security after all.
Meanwhile, Gail Berman's The Jackal Group is developing a feature film about the Pollard's case, based on Martin Blank's play, The Law of Return, about Pollard's work for the U.S. Navy and the process that led to his arrest. Blank will write the script, and Berman and SVP Film Development's Rory Koslow are producing for Jacqueline Group. Perhaps the released Pollard could be hired as a consultant.
And this comes from Gatestone Institute. Diseases are also reappearing that have not been seen in Germany for years. German public health officials are now on the lookout for Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, diphtheria, Ebola, hepatitis, HIV, AIDS, malaria, measles, meningitis, mumps, polio, scabies, tetanus, tuberculosis, typhus, and whooping cough. As refugee shelters fill to overflowing, doctors are also on high alert for mass outbreaks of influenza and norovirus. Compounding the challenge, tens of thousands of migrants arrive in Germany, particularly migrant children who have not been immunized. And German doctors are finding that needed vaccines are not readily available due to a lack of supply. Some German parents are panicking that there are not enough vaccines to immunize their own children. 20 types of vaccines are now in short supply, and 16 others are no longer available at all. Because of production bottlenecks, some vaccines will not become available until 2017. Many migrants are also suffering from a host of traumas and mental illnesses. According to the Chamber of German Psychotherapists, at least half of all migrants arriving in Germany have psychological problems, including post-traumatic stress disorder and depression, and roughly 40% have contemplated suicide. German hospitals are also being forced to hire a virtual army of interpreters so that doctors can communicate with asylum seekers who speak dozens of languages, dialects, and variants. At the same time, German hospitals are increasing security to protect doctors and nurses from violent attacks by migrants who are unhappy with the medical treatment they're receiving. Critics are warning the German taxpayers will end up paying billions of euros to provide health care for a never-ending wave of asylum seekers. This is in addition to the billions of euros already being spent to provide newcomers with food, clothing, and shelter. Many say the German government failed fully to consider the unforeseen consequences of opening the doors to so many migrants. In addition to the massive economic and social cost, as well as the burden of increased crime, including a rape epidemic, Germans are now facing the risk of being exposed to exotic diseases. German media outlets are downplaying the extent of the healthcare problem, apparently to avoid spreading fear or provoking anti-immigrant sentiments. But a growing number of German healthcare professionals are sounding the alarm. Max Kaplan, director of the Bavarian Medical Board, said that the challenges associated with medical treatment for migrants are exacerbated by language and cultural barriers, which are tiresome, time-consuming, and sometimes impossible to overcome. Adding insult to injury, he says many Muslim women refuse to be treated by male doctors, and many Muslim men refuse to be treated by females. In an effort to prevent diseases from spreading, Kaplan has called on German public health officials to order medical exams for all asylum seekers at the initial point of entry into Germany before they are sent to different parts of the country. This is in the best interest of the refugees and also the native population, he said. In a November 2 interview with Spiegel TV, Dr. Ralf Mullerling, director of the Pulmonary Clinic in Parsberg, estimated that between 8,000 and 10,000 asylum seekers in Germany have tuberculosis, but only a small fraction of these are currently in quarantine.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
This next article comes from the Gatestone Institute. In the end, it matters little what the government, people, or even the theocratic institutions think is in Iran's best long-term interest. Unfortunately for those U.S. career diplomats, hopeful politicians, and international businessmen, normative incentives such as money, sanctions relief, and better foreign relations take a back seat in a regime such as the Islamic Republic. It is a regime where one man, Iran's supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, supported by a clique of militants, makes all the critical decisions.
Whenever it seems that the revolution is about to evolve into a kinder and gentler order, the gear is thrown into a rapid reverse. This was so when most CIA and British intelligence analysts, after being at first surprised by Mohammad Khatami's presidential election in 1997, insisted that evolutionary change was inevitable, except for a couple of Defense Intelligence Agency holdouts. Though the reformist regime had arrested more than a dozen Jews after falsely accusing them of treason, killed several intellectuals, and suppressed the massive student demonstrations of July 1999, a mere 9 months later, the Clinton administration decided to let Iran sell us rugs and pistachio nuts.
More recently, there was the Green Movement, which shook the foundations of the regime after the allegedly fraudulent 2009 re-election of hardliner Mahmoud Ahmadinejad as president. Yet again, the reactionary junta of mullahs and Revolutionary Guard operatives, who control all of the levers of power as well as most of the economy, managed to survive and later thrive. Again, this Pacifist theocratic alliance was most skillful in later arresting and executing the liberal ringleaders of the rebellion, while simultaneously isolating the regime's more moderate politicians.
Finally, there's the most recent Rouhani-Zarif mirage that the regime displayed to the West. The two men's facade of civility was enough to persuade the vain, delusional, and acquisitive in Western leadership circles that change had finally come again to Iran. However, no amount of Persian tea or Iranian rosewater-drenched ice cream shared between John Kerry and Jared Zarif can drown out the deceptive hoax of the JCPOA. Before the ink was dry, Ayatollah Khomeini and the security service announced that the agreement had no standing in Iran.
Just this week, it was announced that Iran's so-called resistance economy will not permit any U.S. consumer goods to be imported into Iran. And just to punctuate the point, Tehran arrested a prominent Iranian-American businessman, Samak Namazi, and a Lebanese-American, Nazar Zaka, to add to its collection of fraudulently charged hostages, which include Washington Post journalist Jason Razian, former Marine Amir Hekmati, Pastor Zaid Abedini, and retired FBI agent Robert Levinson.
Just in case the United States needed one more symbolic kick, the regime closed down the first KFC fast food restaurant in Tehran on Monday, just one day after it opened. For the Obama administration, there will be more humiliation to follow. This president has been poorly served by his Iran experts and untutored diplomats.
Ooh.
As you sow.
There's never...
I don't understand why they are always so fooled. I mean, because you and I can see it. But
I don't know that they're always so fooled, really. I think that they're, like, just trying to work with them.
I hope so.
You know what? We sure love you. Thank you for praying with us, and thank you for standing with us. We will see you on Friday, and watch Judy Reamer tonight.